Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is time to take your seats. We are so excited about the enthusiasm for the University of Michigan here at Troy High School today. Thank you all for being here. A few housekeeping items. So we are really fortunate at Troy High to have an amazing partnership with the University of Michigan. And so we want to offer our respect today. So if you have a phone, if you could either please put it away or put it upside down if you think that you might need to take a note while Ms. Bryant is talking, then have it upside down on your lap. And please keep it silent for the entire time and put away. Thank you. So many of you have been working on college applications. Where are my seniors? Fantastic. Before we get started, I am concerned that some of you might not meet that early action deadline because many counselors have noticed that you have not invited us on the Common Application. So that is on your to-do list for this week. Before October 1st, you need to invite your counselor on the Common App, and you need to send your transcript to the Common Application. So those directions for you are on Schoology. They were provided in a handout to your English teachers, and we've been going over them in our senior meetings. So please make sure to do those things. As you're working on your apps, and juniors, you will start this process next year. Sometimes it's easy to just get lost in your own world and forget that there is going to be a human being on the other end of that application, multiple human beings who are going to be reading the words that you are writing, which is very, very exciting. It's not just about numbers and letters on a page, but also, who you are. So you are sharing that with a real life human. One of those real life humans is with us today. And we have had a wonderful partnership with Miss Bryant at Troy High for 29 years with the assistant director with undergraduate admissions at U of M. So we are so fortunate to have such a friendship with her, and you are so fortunate to have someone who is really interacting with your applications and seeing if you are going to be a great fit for U of M and if U of M is going to be a great fit for you. So please, let's make sure that for the entire hour that we are here together, that you provide her with your listening ears and utmost respect, and let's welcome Ms. Kim Bryant.
All right. It is great to be back here. I used to live in Troy for several years, so back in the early 90s for 7 years. It was really a lot of fun. So I feel, a really nice connection to this great community here at Troy High School. So I want to introduce my colleague Jennifer, who's with me today, and afterwards she will come up here and also answer questions if you have additional questions after the session. I also will invite anyone who has a University of Michigan shirt on to also come on stage, and we're going to get a photo right as we're finished. So thank you for wearing that and supporting the University of Michigan. So go blue. All right. Seniors, let me see you again. Where are you? Where are the seniors? All right. How many of you have started your Common Application? All right, Jen, watch this. How many of you have hit the send button? Yep. All right, it's okay. It's not even October yet. We're okay. But I know it's good to work on that. How many of you are juniors? Great. All right, important year. Junior year is critical in the admissions process. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but really, really important to realize you need to put in your best effort this year, juniors. So I'm so glad that you're here. Do we have any sophomores or freshmen? Nope. Okay. So if you have younger siblings, also encourage them to do well in their high school work. Okay. So how many of you have visited the University of Michigan campus? How many of you have been on an official U of M tour? How many of you have met me on the tour? All right, yay, good to see you guys again. All right, so you've probably heard this already, so just, You can tune me out for this part. But I also live with a senior, my last student in my home. We visited a lot of colleges. The campus visit is really critical. I know you guys are not too far away, from Ann Arbor. So it is good to be able to try us on, walk around, have a guided tour from one of our amazing tour guides to see, is this the right fit for me? So my son has been on several tours, about 6, I think, so far. And every single tour, we bought a shirt. And yesterday, I noticed he was wearing the hoodie. So he bought this hoodie. I bought him the hoodie. All right, after I spent about $55 on this hoodie, about 20 minutes later, he said, I love the shirt, Mom, but I'm not applying to this school. It's not the right fit. He's in debate. How many of you guys are debaters? All right, good. You might interact with him. He's in debate, so he gave me about 10 reasons why that wasn't the right fit for him. I appreciated that. He saved me an application fee, and it's really good to understand, do I picture myself at this institution? If that answer is yes, then definitely apply there. Okay, you have to keep in mind that you are all in the driver's seat. You hear about selective colleges out there. You are more selective because you are coming up with your own list where you're going to apply. So keep that in perspective as you go through this. Don't be stressed. This is your list, and you're going to create it. Now, be realistic. Talk with your counselors here. Your counselors here are amazing. I have worked with them, again, a long time. So you are very fortunate to have such caring, educated, amazing staff members, and they totally understand what the University of Michigan is looking for, and they can easily pick up a phone and ask me a question, and I can do the same. So it's great to have that friendship relationship with your staff. So consider yourselves fortunate that you have amazing staff here. Not every high school has that. So Troy High gets 5 stars with that, all right? So again, finding that right fit is really, really important. So we do encourage you to visit. When you apply, you're using the Common Application at the University of Michigan. We're solely a Common App school at this time. So you'll be filling out that Common Application, and you're applying to a specific college or school. So how many of you are interested in the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts? Okay. And I see the College of Engineering. Okay, do you love math? Because we're going to look at math. We're going to focus in on that. We want to see that you've had AP Chem, AP Calc, AP Physics in high school. We want to see that your math scores are pretty high in subject tests. So we're going to look at that for our engineers. Also an interest in engineers. So relating in your application your interest in the engineering field. You don't need to declare your major at this point within engineering. We have so many to choose from. You do that closer to the end of your sophomore year in college. So apply to engineering if that's what you're interested in. All right? Anybody interested in kinesiology? Okay, do you know what area you're interested in? Movement science? Okay. Who else is kinesiology? Another area? Movement science? Okay. All right, so indicate which area you're interested in. Again, talk about that. Your activities need to support that a little bit. What about the School of Nursing? Okay, great. Have you done anything nursing related? A little? What have you done? A shadowed a nurse? Okay, perfect. Great. That gives you experience. You see what a nurse does. Okay, anybody else nursing? Nope. Okay. Oh, right there. Okay, great. Have you done anything related to the nursing field? Okay, great. Now it's good to be able to draw blood. All right, so that's a good skill to have. So phlebotomy is great. All right. So put that on your application, okay? Make sure that is listed on there. All right, then we have some of our talent-based schools. Is anyone interested in architecture and urban planning? Okay, so they have a portfolio, so you're gonna need to look at that. They also have tours at the architecture building. Their website gives you all the information, so access that. Come and have an architecture tour as well, okay? Great folks up there. What about art and design? Anybody interested in the Stamp School of Art and Design? Okay, they also request a portfolio for that. Their website's very clear, all the different aspects, what they are looking for. So you're academically reviewed from our office, and then their faculty will look at your talent-based from your portfolio to make the decisions for both of those schools. Anybody interested in the School of Music, Theater, and Dance? Yes? Which area? What? What kind of music? Not sure? Okay. Are you a senior? Okay. So you're going to have an audition as part of your requirement. So they do not participate in early action. So the deadline is December 1 for our School of Music, Theater, and Dance. So you'll need to indicate the area of your interest. That's very specific. They admit to that area. Anybody else? Music? Oh, all right. It's hard to see hands. Okay. All right. So the audition is a big part of that. So academically, you could be really strong, but if you don't do well in the audition, may not be admitted, okay? So you also have the option, if you're in one of those 3 talent-based schools that I just talked about, applying as a dual applicant. So you could apply to Literature, Science, and the Arts, and you can apply to School of Music, Theater, and Dance. So you can be admitted to both, denied to both, admitted to one, and not the other. So if you apply to LS&A and SMTD, for example, and you have your application in by November 1, you will be read for LS&A during our early action period. However, the music app is December 1st, so that will be later. And then your auditions are typically in early spring, so you'll find out a little bit later about that decision, okay? All right, what does it take to get into the University of Michigan? So as Mrs. Frent pointed out, I will be reviewing each and every one of your applications here at Michigan. So what is the most important factor I'm going to look at? Grades, exactly. GPA. How do I look at GPA? 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, all courses. An A, an A minus, an A plus is a 4.0. A B, B minus, B plus, 3.0. So you seniors can look at your transcript from 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, all courses, use that scale, and determine the GPA that I will be factoring into your decision. Those of you that are juniors, once you're done with this year, you can figure that out. That's why I said junior year is critical. Upward grade trend is important. So GPA. You guys have publications we passed out. What's our average GPA? It's in there. Great, 3.9. 25% of our students have below that, 25% have above that. But we will recalculate your GPA on a 4.0 scale. So GPA, what's the second factor I'm going to look at? Test scores. We are what's considered test flexible, similar to test optional. If you can look at that range, you don't have to yell it out. You can see the ACT and SAT range also in your literature right there. And if your test score falls in between that range or above that range, I would send it, my recommendation. If it falls below, you can send it if you'd like, or maybe not. If I do not see an ACT or SAT on your application, as most students from Troy High School do provide that to me, if I don't see it, then I'm going to look a little further, and I'm going to look at your self-reported AP scores. So if you have your AP scores that you took sophomore or junior year, please indicate what that score was. We also super score. All right, how many of you guys have driven more than an hour and a half for an SAT? Yep, my son was doing that a couple weeks ago, all right? So that's happening. So you can take multiple tests, and then we'll look at your super score. You need to self-report the score on the date that you took it with the actual sub-scores. We will super score it. We don't want you to do that. So please list on your application the date that you tested and the sub-scores that you received. If you are taking another one and you send your application in, you can send those later. You can self-report those on your enrollment portal and indicate what you scored. If you are admitted and choose to enroll at the University of Michigan, we will need you to verify that those are actual scores. We will need them sent in officially before you start class. So keep that in mind. So make sure they're accurate, double and triple check what you're reporting to us, because if they're not the same, that could be an issue. So make sure you're reporting the accurate scores, okay? So GPA, test scores, and we don't care whether it's ACT or SAT, doesn't really matter. Whatever you feel is the best reflection of you as a student. What else am I looking at besides grades and test scores? Extracurricular, love that. What else? Essays, love those. Rec letters, yeah. Volunteering. Rigor, thank you, rigor. Rigor is important. We want to see that you are challenged the curriculum here at Troy High School. You guys offer amazing curriculum here, so we like to see that. Typically, students will start taking APs, like maybe one sophomore year, okay? And then take additional ones junior and senior year. Senior year matters. We want to see that you continue to take rigor because when you start college, you want to be used to that rigorous course load. So please continue to take that. Do not take any APs your senior year. That would not be a good thing. So we want to see that you're continuing to take that. So we'll look at the overall rigor throughout your high school. So GPA, test scores, and rigor are the most important factors on your application. Other things that we are looking at. Leaders and best. You guys have probably heard that, right? So we love to see that you're involved in high school. How many of you hold leadership positions? All right. Great. All right. Did anybody go to Boys State? You did? You did this year? Huh, you probably met my son. All right. Awesome. Good. All right. That is a great leadership position. How many of you are Eagle Scouts or Gold Scouts? All right. Again, leadership positions that are nationally known. Make sure that's included. This is a time to brag when you're filling out college applications. There's 10 little windows, right, that you can insert your extracurricular activities. So I know my middle daughter, when she was filling hers out a couple years ago, she said, okay, Mom, I have choir council, and I have this before school choir. So I said, put that all on one line. It's all choir related. So that's how she was able to get her other 9 activities listed in there. So try to do that. We want to see commitment. We want to see that you're involved. That's really important. Okay? So show that on your application. If you just attended one club meeting, not something to put down. All right? We want to see that you're really involved. How many of you work? All right. Does anybody work at Somerset? Yeah. Where do you work? All right. Eddie Bauer. Okay. Who else works at Somerset? At the mall? Oh, okay. Who else works at the mall? Back there. Where? Shake Shack. Ho, yeah. Harry, good. Oh, my daughter works there. All right, not that one. Yeah. All right, anybody over here work at Somerset? I love going to the mall, can you tell? Okay, so several years ago, I used to live in Troy. I was reviewing an application. The young man's name was Jeff. He went here to Troy High School. And I read his application. It was amazing. So he said he worked at Hollywood Market right there on Maple. So I went in after work, and I asked if Jeff was working, and they said, no, he doesn't work till Friday. So Friday I went in after work, and I said, hi, is Jeff here? And they brought him out. I said, do you know who I am? He said, you look really familiar. I said, I'm Kim Bryant from the University of Michigan. Congratulations, you were just admitted to Michigan. Go Blue. He was so excited. And I was telling this story a couple years ago, and afterwards I had 5 students come up to me, and they said, okay, we all work at the Coney Island down the street. We would love for you to come in. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to take them all shirts. I'm like very excited about this. So when I was reading their applications, unfortunately, 4 of them were admitted, 1 of them was not. So I couldn't do that to that poor student, so I didn't go there. I did go to Chick-fil-A for one of your students who was admitted to our nursing program, and they told me he had just quit the week before. So I was excited to give him a shirt, but you never know. Let me know where you work. I'm a foodie. I love going to restaurants, and I love trying out new places. So let me know where you work. You never know. I might show up because I do come over here quite often and still visit friends. So I love spreading the good news of Michigan, and seeing you at work. Years ago, I once drove through a Burger King drive-thru in Toledo to tell a student he was admitted as well. So a lot of fun, all right? So put that on your application. You guys are balancing work and you're balancing academics. Important, right? You're learning how to do that because when you go to college, it's not just about going to class. It's about building that resume in college and being involved, integrating yourself socially into a college campus. So you're already doing that now with your involvement. So brag, it's okay to do that. Talk about the different things that you've done on your list of extracurricular and leadership activities, okay? The other thing you mentioned, teacher recommendations, all right? One teacher recommendation, that's all we require. My oldest daughter, several years ago, she would come home after school, and at dinner, she would talk about Senora all the time. She loved this teacher, her Spanish teacher. She was amazing. So she would talk about her. So when I went to the open house, I was very excited to meet this woman. So I'm standing in line in the commons area. She had a table with all the other teachers. Parents were everywhere. So I approached her table and sat down. And I said, "Hi, I'm Brittany Bryant's mom, Kim Bryant." This woman grabbed my hands and screamed so the entire commons heard, "I love your daughter." So the first thing, I was a little embarrassed, but the first thing that popped into my head is, oh, maybe she'll write her rec letter for college one day. That was my admissions brain talking, right? So fast forward 2 years. Who wrote her recommendation letter? Absolutely. 1 year later. So she had her for AP Spanish as well. So she wrote her rec letter, and she, to this day, my daughter just graduated from college in May. She came back home for a little bit and went out for coffee with the same teacher to catch up. So she stayed in touch with her. So it's really thinking about, what teacher do I connect with? There's amazing teachers here at Troy High, so many, and they do a great job writing recommendation letters on your behalf. So, but it's your responsibility to ask, can you write a positive letter of recommendation for me? This summer, as a program that I was involved with, I had a former teacher write a letter for this student, and it wasn't a letter. She emailed me and said, "I'm shocked that Grace asked for me to be a recommender. I honestly do not have a positive thing to say about Grace, so I recommend that she ask someone else." A little harsh, okay? But she had every right to do that. So self-reflection. You need to figure out, okay, which teacher do I connect with that connects with me, that I respect, they respect me. Really, really important. So my son is a senior, right? He asked his 10th grade honors English teacher to write his recommendation letter. Typically, I tell students all the time, ask a teacher that you had junior year, because that's closer to where you are now as a senior. They've seen you recently, probably more rigorous courses, right? Doesn't have to be AP or honors. But I really recommend a junior level teacher, write your letter. Why am I 100% on board for my son to ask his 10th grade honors English teacher to write his letter? If you heard me before, do not ruin it. All right. Anybody know? She's an English teacher. You know what's funny? When we first started, not funny, but years ago, the first year that Michigan started requiring recommendation letters, I was called to come to Troy High to meet with the English department because every student was asking them to write their letter. Like, no, you don't. Again, you have to connect with this teacher. We're not going to be grading this on how well the teacher writes. It's not their application. We just need them to tell us about you, and any teacher can do that. So, all right, any ideas? Why am I okay with my son's 10th grade teacher writing his letter? Yep. There's a special reason they connected. You're on the right track. All right, anybody else have an idea? No one? She led a club he was in. All right, so she met Michael in 8th grade when he was on the debate team in middle school. She's the debate coach at the high school. Also did some stuff at the middle school. So he started working with him as an 8th grader. So 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, spending time with him after school, some Saturdays. All right? So she can speak to his strengths outside of the classroom. That is important. What you do outside of the classroom is important, and your teachers are going to talk about that. How you behave on the soccer field could be part of that in your recommendation letters. So ask a teacher that you feel could do a great job talking about you in a positive way. Give them some information. Yes, I'm applying to Michigan. Yes, I'm applying to the College of Engineering. We don't want the teacher to say, oh, this student would be a great physician one day or a great nurse one day, and you're applying to engineering and you want to go into computer science. Okay, let them know what you're thinking about. You don't have to do that. You have plenty of time to figure out what you want to do at the end of the day. But if you have an idea now, let that teacher know so you can be on the same page. It's a little confusing when there's conflicting information in application. Normally that's when I pick up a phone and call your counselor, all right, or I might call you. Okay, so one teacher recommendation letter. That's all we require, one letter. Counselor can also input information. Let's say you've had some personal adversity. Talk to your counselor. Again, these are amazing people. All right, if you don't want to talk about it, there's a COVID interruption portion of the application and other things that may have impacted your grades or your schooling in any way. You can talk about that. A loss of a family member, a sudden move, anything, okay, that impacted you. And maybe it didn't impact your grades, but you were able to get through that, but it was a little bit of a struggle, all right? It's okay to talk to your counselor, and they can talk about that as well and give me more information, or you can give me the information as well, too, all right? So one recommendation from a teacher, all right? So ask them early. Do not wait until October 31st to ask a teacher, because November 1 is our early deadline. We want to give them time. So if you haven't yet asked a teacher, seniors, I would recommend doing that this week. So adding that on to like what Mrs. Front was saying earlier, okay? So what else are we looking at? What else in that application? Essays, my favorite part of the applications. All right, how many of you have started your essays? All right, how many of you finished your essays? Okay, good. All right, so my son's working on his. You know, they're looking good. They're shaping up. All right, we have the Common App essay. That's 7 questions. You select one, right, and answer that prompt. Then that prompt might not be the same prompt that your best friend picks, and that's okay. It shouldn't be. It's really what speaks to you. So you read those and decide, okay, what is important to me? Keep in mind that the people that are reading your applications at all the schools you're applying to are virtually strangers. So what do you want them to know about you? My daughter Lauren asked me, Mom, I have 3 ideas for my Common App essay. Should I write about 1, 2, or 3? I could have very easily answered her question, but I turned it back around and I said, Lauren, what do you want colleges to know about you, and which one are you most excited about? She said, oh, number 3. I would have picked that too, but I didn't let her know that. So she ran with that and did a great job. So really thinking about that. Why the University of Michigan? I don't want to read that you want to attend Michigan because you've been to every football game since you were little. All right, why do you want to go to this school? My oldest daughter, when she was going through her applications, she had one of her why essays for a school up on her laptop, and her friend came by and she read it and she said, wow, I had no idea that this was your number 1 choice. And Brittany said, well, it's not. It's actually probably toward the bottom of my list, but she said, Maggie, I'm not going to apply to a school that I'm not interested in. Why would I waste time and my parents' money doing that? I envision myself here, and this is a school I've selected to apply for, and if I'm admitted and I'm not admitted to any schools above that, I would be really excited to go there. And so she showcased that. She talked about when she visited campus, walking around that campus, talking about the buildings, talking about immersing herself in the major, things that she learned by going to the information session, things that she really was excited when she explored a little bit more on their website. She could envision herself there. All right? So it's important to do that for all your schools that you're applying to that require essays. Why that school? So be honest and talk about that. Don't just list a bunch of professors' names that teach on our campus or a bunch of stats. I've been there a long time. I kind of know some of that. Show me why you personally want to go to the University of Michigan. That's what I'm looking at. My favorite essay of all time is the community essay. So, who wants to share a community that you're part of? You guys have a community? Yes. Theater community, love that. What else? Yep. At your church, great, perfect, yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What is it? Oh, okay, thank you. Over here. Anybody? Community that you feel that you're part of? Yes. Model UN. Okay, yep. At your church? Okay, good. All right. Yep. DECA, good. Okay. So, you talk about what is important to you. That is your community. So several years ago, I had a family friend. She came over, met with me. She danced at the same studio that my 3 kids danced at, and she was an amazing dancer. So she came over and she shared her community essay, which talked about her community being her dance community. She said, I'm a role model at my dance studio. I dance 6 or 7 days a week. It was really boring. It did not wow me at all. And this young lady is very exciting. She has so much energy. I said, okay, so let's back up. I said, you need to talk about how you stand out within your community. You can all do this in your communities. How do you stand out? So I said, what were you doing December of last year? She's like, oh, I was in the Nutcracker Ballet. And I said, yes, and what role did you play? I played Clara, which is a pivotal role. So I said, not too many applicants that are applying to universities had that distinction. I said, so tell me about what were you thinking when you were backstage before you first danced and took that first step? What was going through your mind? And then what was going through your mind at the end when you lifted the Nutcracker over your head to signify the closing of the performance? She was taking notes. I said, you said you were a role model. I said, let me tell you, my oldest daughter was in 8th grade at the time. You wrote her a letter. You told her you loved watching her light up the stage and that one day, too, she would be Clara. And that she reminded you of yourself when you were her age. That meant the world to my daughter. It meant the world to her parents. What I didn't say, because I didn't know yet, fast forward many years later, when my daughter left for college, and I was in her room cleaning up, things, opened her nightstand to put something away, and what was in there but that letter? She had kept it all those years. It's still there. So if you have any kind of impact on younger students, write them a note. You have no idea what that could do to that student. It could mean so much to them. So this is how much I think of this young lady. She's amazing. I said, you know what? You want to be a teacher? She said, I do. I love kids. I said, you teach the ballet class in Saturday mornings before you have your actual class. Those little kids come and run around you, and you get down to their level, and you embrace them, and you encourage them. You're already doing and showcasing teacher skills. Talk about that in your essay. So she went home, redid her essay. The next day, she sent me her final version. It wowed me. It was so good. So you can all do that. Reach in your heart. This is your voice. My oldest daughter had a friend. Her mom asked me, can you look at Amanda's essay? Happy to. She sent it to me. I've known Amanda since she was 3. Again, super involved, vibrant young lady. I looked through this essay. I'm reading over it. It made my head hurt. There was no focus. It was everywhere. And I called Amanda and I said, okay, this actually made my head hurt. I don't know what your point is. It is going in so many different directions. What is going on? And she's like, oh. So my mom and 4 of her friends edited it. Okay, so it's the voice of 5 50-year-olds and not a 17-year-old. No wonder, right? I want it to be your voice. I did a presentation last spring at a conference where we talked about using AI and ChatGPT with essays. So my colleague who presented with me sent some prompts to ChatGPT. They created an essay. We read 3 essays with the group that we were presenting to. They were in small tables. They had to talk amongst themselves to decide which one was the fake essay, not written by a real human. I felt very honored because my oldest daughter, for one of my favorite essays, one of my esteemed friends that I've known forever, which I'm surprised, but he picked her essay of being, he said it's too perfect. I was like, oh, that made me feel good. Because she did it at the kitchen counter, all right? She did not use, that wasn't even a thing back then when she was applying to college. So she didn't have help on that. She wrote it all herself. It was really well done. The one that we picked was very choppy, okay? And you could really tell that it was different. I did an essay workshop a couple weeks ago, and one of the teachers for his group, they had a chat one, and he went and looked at it. He said after the first paragraph, he said, oh, I can totally tell that this is an AI one. So after 30-some years of doing this, I'm going to be able to tell if you didn't write it. So I want you to write it in your own voice and not hurt yourself. We don't do interviews at Michigan. 90,000 applications last year, all right? 300 students applied from Troy High School. 130 of them were offered admission. 99 of them are currently on our campus. They did their own work. We don't do interviews. This is your interview. This is how I get to know you, through these essays, through your application. And I love that. I will offer, but only for 1 more week. So anybody who has not hit send yet, and you're still working on those essays, if you want to send it to me, I'm happy to look over and give you a little bit of feedback. I'm not going to edit it. I'm not going to rewrite it for you. I will just give you a quick, good to go, or maybe you need to rework something, or maybe you need to start over. I don't say start over too often, but I'm honest. So if you want my opinion, you can do that. All right, any of the essays for Michigan. You have to be applying to Michigan to send it to me. All right, so think about that. If you're interested, you can email me directly, and I'll do that. But just for another week or so, and then I'm going to be traveling out of state, and then we start reading applications in real time, so then I can't do this. Once I start real time, I need to focus on those. But I will have, offer to help you a little bit with that if you would like me to. All right, but essays, I love them, as you can tell. So much fun. I love reading, I love writing, and this is one of my favorite parts, to really feel like I get to know you guys as a person. So try not to take too many risks, okay? Years ago, we had a student that did that here, all right? It will be forever in our minds, the counselors as well as me. Not a good move, right? So be careful what you do, but if you have questions, ask your counselor here. They'll be able to tell you if you're okay or not to submit an essay with that topic, okay? So once you've submitted all of these, I want to talk about a couple of different things. How many of you are interested in the Ross School of Business? All right. So this is a 2-tiered process. So we're going to use the example that you're applying to the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, like my daughter's friend Gita did. All right, so Gita applied years ago to LS&A. She was offered admission to LS&A. Then she hit the preferred admission box for Ross, supplied the extra materials that Ross requires. Once admitted to LS&A, we send that file over to the Ross School of Business, where they evaluate their portion. They make the decision. I don't have impact in that decision at all for Ross. So you first have to be admitted in order for Ross to look at your application. Then they start releasing decisions in February. They're very transparent. It is on their website. They list when they're going to release, starting in February on Fridays at 5 p.m. So you can look at your portal at that exact time. We release at the end of December, or the end of January, always on a Friday, always at 3 o'clock. the end of January, okay? But we don't have a date out there. But you guys are smart, so you can figure that out, all right? So, Gita was admitted to LSNA, unfortunately was not admitted to Ross. So she said, Mrs. Bryant, I don't know what to do. I was admitted to another BBA program, and I like that school a lot, so should I go there or should I go to Michigan? I said, I can't answer that question. Only you can answer that question. What do you want? Do you want a BBA or do you want a University of Michigan degree? One person can answer it one way, another person will answer it another way. So you just need to ask yourself, where do I see myself going? Can you still go into business as far as a career without a BBA? Absolutely. I have a friend that did poli-sci at Michigan, went to law school in Texas, now runs a really successful business. All right? So you could do a business. You don't have to have that BBA, or you could come back and get an MBA after a few years after graduating. Or you could do a minor specifically in Ross. If you want to apply for that, you could be accepted. Maybe not, but you could be. All right, so that's another option that you would have once you're a student on our campus. So, but if you don't get into Ross as an incoming high school student, it's a one and done deal. So I told Gita, if you choose Michigan, it's not going to be a BBA, but it's Michigan. So you decide. Her sister went to Michigan. She decided to forge another path, and she went and received her BBA just this May at the other school. She did great. So again, important to ask yourself that question. How many of you are interested in computer science? All right. So we have what's called advanced selection for computer science. So you would be applying to, let's say, LSNA or the College of Engineering, either one. Then you are reviewed for that computer science. So you need to talk a little bit about computer science in your application. If you've had some classes, that's great too. We'll have that on the transcript. We'll also see your AP scores if you self-report those in the areas of computer science. If you've done coding or anything relatable, you need to put that in your activities so we can see that. Those are some of the things that we're going to look at when I'm looking at your application to determine if you are competitive for computer science. We typically take about 500 students a year for that program. But it's similar to Ross. If you're not admitted to computer science initially, it's not going to be an option. If you don't apply and you go to Michigan and then you decide later, yeah, I think I might want to do this, they are going to take some students that way once you finish a year. So another option. But you could do data science, you could do math, you could do other things, but not computer science. So again, similar to Ross, if you know I want CS more than anything and you don't get into Michigan, find somewhere else, okay? And maybe look at us for grad school. Anybody interested in going into education? All right, if you are, please talk to me. We do have a new program. I don't want to waste time talking about that if there's no interest in this room, but if you are interested in education, it is a program that does not lead to a teacher certification at this time, but it's more community-based, working with organizations in Detroit and helping other avenues, giving back, really doing more community work. So in underserved populations. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, circle back and I can tell you more about that program. The School of Education is also having, they'll be having information sessions later this fall, so you can check their website and sign up for one of those as well. All right. So once I review the application, hopefully during EA, most of you apply during EA, that's great. If not, you can apply by February 1st, but again, majority of the students I'm seeing from Troy High School have everything in by November 1. So we have to have everything in. So that teacher recommendation, keep on top of them, all right? I know what I've done for my girls is I've stopped at Rocky Mountain, and I know they're back open now over at Somerset. So I got the caramel apples, and they gave those to their teachers that wrote recommendations letters with a nice little thank you note, right? It's nice once a teacher agrees to write them a thank you note, personalized one, not just an email. If they haven't done it yet, it will trigger them to do it. And it will also trigger them to be like, oh, wow, they have great manners. They wrote a thank you note. They acknowledge me and that I'm taking time doing this. So a more positive spin probably on that recommendation. So keep that in mind and acknowledge people that are going to help you with that along the way here at Troy High School. So once we have everything in, then we make a decision. So in the end of January, we start rolling those out. Hopefully, congratulations, welcome to Michigan. Maybe I'm going to show up at Abercrombie. You never know. All right. So, do some Christmas shopping. I always go into that store. So you never know, but you will get your notification on your portal. You'll be able to see that decision. If the decision is deny, then you need to move on. All right. We also have Dearborn and Flint campuses. If your dream is to go to the University of Michigan, every year I have students tell me this, I want to be at Michigan. Okay, well, you were denied, but you could go to Dearborn or Flint, go there for a year, 2 years, and then transfer to Ann Arbor. Your GPA will transfer with you from those two institutions. Or go somewhere else and give it your all, and you might figure out this is the right fit for me, because that's really important. If you are postponed or deferred during early action, that means that you need to just indicate, yes, I'm still interested in Michigan. It's still one of my very top schools. So you do that on your portal. You follow those directions, submit a statement, and that will show us that you're still interested. We also will need to have you request your grades from your first semester here at Troy High School. We'll look at those senior year grades as well. It does not mean that you need to reach out to 4 community members or 3 more teachers and send me more recommendation letters. No, please don't do that. We're not going to include that in your file if you send them. We just need you to respond that way and show us your grades. Very important. All right. At the end of the day, after our regular decision process goes through, February 1st is that deadline, we start notifying everybody in little groups. Usually we have everything done by that first week of April, all of our decisions out. We will also release a wait list. So some students will be offered a wait list option, which means if Michigan remains your top choice, then indicate, yes, I would like to stay on your wait list if spaces open up. This year we did have spaces open up because our provost decided that we needed to increase our class. Will that happen again? I don't know. But we were told we could increase our class this past year. So if that number is the same for this year, we're going to factor that in earlier, so probably take more earlier, not as many on the wait list. But there's still a little chance to go to the wait list. Some years we haven't gone to it at all. Last year we did a little bit more. So we never know. But if you're really interested, let us know that by saying, yes, I would like to be on the wait list. If you don't, we're going to move on, and we suggest that you do the same, right? You've already picked that other school. You're excited. You can start planning for your grad parties. Your parents can get your decorations. You can get everything set, right? If you want to wait and see if we go to our wait list, we may do that later in the year. All right, you should still commit to another institution by paying an enrollment deposit by May 1 to let them know, yes, this is where I want to be. All right? Questions? Anything at all admissions related? Questions? Yes. Can you apply to LSNA and engineering at the same time? You cannot. You need to pick one of those schools. The only dual enrollment options are for those talent-based, so School of Music, Theater and Dance, Art, and Architecture. Yep. How does financial aid work? You are automatically considered for our merit-based aid at the University of Michigan. If you would like to be considered for the need-based aid, you need to submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile, and our financial aid office will work with you in helping answer any specific questions that you have. They have a call center, so you can call them Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and they're happy to answer questions specifically because everybody's so different and has their own questions. How would the Ford School admission work? So that is something that you start your junior year. So when you're a sophomore at the University of Michigan, they don't take outside transfers, so it's only for their own University of Michigan students. You will apply directly to the Ford School. So you'll work with an academic advisor and make sure you're taking courses that you feel would prepare you best for that school, and then apply. You're welcome. Yes? How does legacy affect chances of admission? So it is on our application still. So we do ask for, your parents and where they went to school, siblings, grandparents, and, that is on there. However, we have gotten away from legacy admissions the last several years, as most institutions are doing the same thing. So we want to have an environment of students from all over, all 50 states, all counties here in Michigan. We want it to be well represented. So legacy is not so much a factor for admissions at this point. Yes. What is the difference between LS&A, residential college, and regular? So residential college is one of our learning communities. So you would be housed in East Quad. That's our residence hall. You'll take classes there. There's a heavy emphasis in foreign language and the arts. So some of your professors are going to be holding office hours right there in the building. Some of them will have lunch with you. And you'll be graded in your language during lunch, where you can just speak that language. So it's very nice. I always think when I'm walking through the halls, it looks like a hotel to me. They renovated it several years ago, so it's a nice space. It makes it small. So if you're, a lot of students that come from smaller high schools will kind of want to try that out. Or, come from bigger and want to make it smaller. So it's a great way to do that. Are we out of time? Okay, so those of you with Michigan shirts, I'm going to end in a minute, but if you have a Michigan shirt, I invite you to come to stage. Those with questions also can come up after we do the picture. The University of Michigan has sent alumni to the silver screen, the stage, the Oval Office, and the moon. Where do you want to go? Go blue!